Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
We're actors, and it's not like I couldn't sell certain things, but my heart, there are places I don't want to go, things I don't want my voice to be associated with. And so, yeah, I have a little bit of a boundary there. Well, no, I have a very good boundary.
No, that's great to hear and hear your perspective. Yeah.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobbi Maxwell.
And welcome to the Making Waves VO podcast. I can't believe, Bobbi, that you have survived the political season. That's amazing.
I know. It's been crazy. I actually went to the doctor for some health problems, and I think it was because of political.
It could have been the stress and the strain. P.S. The Making Waves VO podcast is presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Now, a little disclaimer. This podcast is recorded the Monday prior to the election results. So we don't know.
Dun, dun.
So as of this recording, we don't know the results. We're not going to pick sides. We're just here to talk about political voiceover and a couple of prolific political voiceover talents that are maybe happy that the season is over. It is the Making Waves VO podcast. Let's welcome Krysta Wallrauch and Bill DeWees, political voices. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Indeed it is.
It's so good to have you both on the podcast. And as we mentioned, Bill DeWees and Krysta Wallrauch are prolific political voice actors. They do a lot of other stuff, obviously. But this political season has been hot. It's been hotly contested. And there's been a lot of work to go around, right, Bobbi?
Oh, yeah. But it's interesting. I've messaged with a couple of people over the past few weeks and said, hey, have you been busy? And they said, surprisingly not. And one person actually said, I think maybe they're going with the same person for full campaigns. So I can't wait to ask Bill and Krysta about that in particular. But yeah, it's been busy for me, and I know it's been busy for both of y'all.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. Krysta, welcome. And how was your political season in terms of voiceover?
Ooh, yeah, it was hot and heavy. I mean, so much so that my house was a hot sty. And it was
not quite a pigsty, but a hot sty, right?
It was a hot sty. It was. There were quite a few times I'm yelling, "Shut up!" Like we had a puppy. I'm like, I'm just going. I remember one was like, I think I did 8 to 13 spots in one.
Ooh.
So yeah, it was pretty.
One
thick.
candidate?
It was a bunch, but in the same area.
Wow. Bill, how about your cycle compared to previous ones?
Oh, this was far busier than anything I've ever done. And by the way, I appreciate the use of the word prolific before my voice. I don't think it's ever been used. A lot of other words have been used. I don't think that one's ever been used. And as it relates to political, I feel a little bit like, and not to deflate your introduction, which I greatly appreciate. I feel a little bit like an odd man out in that I've never marketed myself specifically for political. But I've been doing, political work, for a number of years, but this year it just blew up and I couldn't tell you why, but, thankfully, and I'm sad the season's coming to an end, believe it or not, because I've really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
The money, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I hate politics, but I love the pay.
Yeah, we do this for the love of the craft and everything, but it's also so we can earn a living, right?
Well, yeah.
So, Krysta, do you mind sharing what kind of political things you've been doing this political season?
Well, all of them. But oddly enough, it's kind of like what Bill was talking about. It was, I got one for Kamala, which was kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
But what was
great.
really interesting is I had to come all the way to Mayfield, Kentucky before I got any kind of political spots for Ohio. And so
Are you kidding?
I am totally, it was insane. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm doing all these things for Cincinnati, Ohio. And it was crazy. So yeah, that was, I think, one of the most odd, but I've done senators. I don't even, like it's such a blur that people would say, Krysta, I'm sure you remember working with us before. And I'm like,
Yes.
don't. Let's do it. Whatever you say. Whatever you say.
So where was most of your work coming from? If you were that busy, was it scattered around between agents, or how do you get most of your work?
Like Bill, which is it. I have never marketed myself as a political person. I didn't even have a political demo once upon a time. It was just coming. But a lot of it came from people that I knew, other production companies, and at times, because they couldn't, like when the hurricane hit, there were certain production houses that were down. I had the clients contacting me directly.
Wow.
And so because they needed those spots done and they wanted them done. So, yeah.
Very interesting. How about you, Bill? Were you getting it from a variety of places?
Well, it wasn't a whole lot. I mean, there were several. The bulk of my work was for Texas state-type campaigns. I remember one day I did, I think, Krysta, you mentioned how many you had done in a day. I think a dozen, 13 was my most in one day. And those were all for the state of Texas. I did some other regional campaigns, and then but this was I thought this was really strange. And by the way, I record Democrat, Republican, so I'll record either side of the aisle. I'm just, and I mean this in all sincerity, I'm just thrilled to be a part of the process, to facilitate, excuse me, our democratic process. And so I'm proud to be a part of, and that's, I don't need to divulge any political leanings one way or the other, but I think for me, it's a privilege to be able to do what I do, whoever it is I'm helping to facilitate their message. But during the Republican primaries, did some work for a couple spots for Vivek Ramaswamy. And then more recently, like Krysta, did one for Kamala. So
That's awesome.
I was all over the place. Yeah.
You were. And Vivek was from Cincinnati. Was that a local connection or just something that you just happened to get?
They had no idea where I was located when they hired me. It was just one of those fluky things.
Wow. I have to say something, because I wonder if you were on the opposite side of me, because I did primarily Texas, especially state representative candidates. So we might have been going at each other, Bill.
Bobbi versus Bill in a big battle.
It's funny. I don't know if either one of you know Rob Reed. He's a voiceover talent down there in Austin. And last weekend, he literally texted me and he said, "Okay, Bobbi, I get it." And then he said the candidate's name is running for state office. He heard it so much.
That's funny. Bill, I'm going to ask the same question that Bobbi had asked of Krysta, and we don't want you to divulge your sources, but what types of avenues were these opportunities coming from? Like casting sites, agents, managers, what?
Let's see here. I think most of them came through my just direct marketing efforts, where I was working with like talent rosters. And then there's the Vivek and Kamala spots came from the same place. They're kind of an agency. They're kind of a production house / agency. If you kind of a hybrid, I wouldn't call it. They're not pure talent agent. They actually go out and sell services, voiceover services. And the others, I don't recall where they came from, to be honest with you.
You don't want to miss what's next. Making Waves returns momentarily.
Hi, this is Kate Neeland, voiceover actor, the one with the microphone. And you are listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobbi, you lucky, lucky sausage. I love them. I love them so much. Enjoy.
Bobbi. This is such an exciting time of the year, especially for those that are looking for gear. No, I did not try to rhyme that. It just happened that way. If you go to fullcompass.com right now, they are having their Black Friday extravaganza.
Yeah, they have up to 77% off on some amazing gear that we use every day that's been discounted for their Black Friday sale. Look at this. They have the 2i2 bundle. That includes the Focusrite 2i2. That's my Rode interface, one of the best, I think. And this includes the headphones, the interface, obviously, a microphone and cables for $229. Wow. That's amazing. That's quite the Black Friday deal.
Yeah, and another voiceover bundle that might intrigue you is the Wallrauch voiceover sound treatment bundle. You will get foam wedges, reflection filter, and more for the low price of $124.99. That is 60% off.
Wow.
But it is for a limited time. That's an amazing deal. So if you're looking for a little bit of sound treatment, hey, P.S. We talked recently on a podcast about gifts for us. I love getting stuff for my studio, and this would make for a great gift. But man, now is the time to save money during their Black Friday extravaganza.
Interfaces, cables, I've seen booms on there, microphones, acoustic treatment, everything we need for our day-to-day voiceover careers. A Black Friday extravaganza at fullcompass.com.
Up to 77% off. Log on right now, Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
And now, back to Making Waves.
Were either of you on the voice of a campaign where you got, continued work from that politician?
Yes.
Not me. Oh, okay, yeah, not me.
Go ahead, Bill.
No, I just going to say no, not for me.
I did. I've had candidates that I have done in the past, and they came back and they wanted the same voice. So I've done complete rosters of whatever people.
Very nice. Yes, it's great to get steady work.
Indeed. Oh, girl, yes.
Krysta, we know that you did, 12 or 13 spots within like a session or for a certain area, and that had to have been challenging, certainly. But can you reflect on what might have been the biggest challenge in terms of political VO, scheduling, chaos, insanity, last minute? What would have been the most challenging thing for you?
Saying the names.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
I get that.
That's a great answer.
Some of the names, and they would apologize up front. Krysta, I tried to do this in like 25 seconds, and I couldn't do it either. Oh, but I get paid to do it, don't I?
Yeah.
I can do it. Don't you worry. But it was really the names. Because at the end of the day, everybody knew as soon as my phone was always on, and as soon as someone texted me on my phone or whatever, yes, I'm there. I'm in the booth, guys. Be quiet. So that was the least of my concerns. But some of these names were way hard. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Same to you, Bill. What was the most challenging this political season?
I think the hardest thing for me is taking my basic personality is fairly chilled, relaxed, and doing so much mudslinging, which is not within my personality. I don't like it. I hate it when it comes to political ads. I think it's not helpful, and it kind of grinds just against my very nature. But yet, that's what the job calls for. So
because you're an actor.
That's right. So to get down there and get down and dirty and throw a little mud on somebody's behalf, that would probably for me is the biggest challenge. That takes a lot out of me.
So way fewer of the anthemic spots and more of the attack ads, right?
You know what's funny is the higher the level of the office, the less, for me, in the work that I was doing, the less the attacks. It was more anthemic. The others, though, the more, the lower the level of the election, the more mudslinging was my experience.
Do either of you work directly with consultants?
I have not.
No, me either.
That's interesting because that's where the bulk of my work comes from.
Interesting.
And that being said, I rarely have a directed session. They trust me enough that I work with them so much just to, self-direct and self-tape. So I'll ask you both then, was most of your work directed sessions with who you got the job from?
Most of mine were, but it was interesting that some of the newer clients, once they went through session with me, from there on out, they would just send the scripts to me because they knew I'm going to give you lots of different variety and you're going to have exactly what you need, and I'm going to do all the disclaimers. So that's kind of how it developed over time.
And for me, the Ramaswamy and Harris spots, those were directed. Everything else was on my own.
How do you feel about that? Would you rather be directed, Bill?
Generally speaking, regard political or otherwise, I'd rather not, only because I can do it on my own time. I don't mind. I actually enjoy getting feedback, But if I've got a busy schedule, a lot to record, a lot going on, I prefer to do it on my own time, just for that very reason, not because I don't like the interaction. I enjoy the interaction. So, I mean, either way is fine, but depending on my schedule, I probably prefer to do it on my own.
Okay. And Bill, I want to ask you about voicing for both sides, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I've heard, I have a good friend that does political, and her opinion is red, blue, it's all green to me. And it's all about, making the cash. But how do you justify it in your own head, voicing for both sides?
Well, in what I was kind of alluding to earlier, I really do feel that way. I mean, it's amazing the process that we have. And granted, I mean, it's imperfect. And it's very contentious right now. And it would be great if we could all just kind of sit down and talk. I mean, really have some real conversations. Because like I said, the mudslinging doesn't help. I don't care what side of the aisle it's coming from. It just doesn't help. But, that's the way to get somebody on your side, whether you're a media personality or whether you're running for office, is to create, you have to have an enemy. That's the way you get people to follow you. That's the easiest. And you get the lowest hanging fruit that way. So anyhow, all of that aside, I'm just thrilled to live in a country where we actually have elections, and we have the opportunity to speak our mind and debate these issues. And so again, I look at myself as a facilitator, a professional, facilitator of sorts. And so, sure, I mean, I like the money, but and political's not going to make me or break me in the end. This is not what I do for the most part. Although don't get me wrong, again, I appreciate the pay, but I really, it almost seems like a patriotic duty to me. If that might sound a little schmaltzy, but that's the way it feels.
It's interesting. I've not heard that, but I love it. I mean, I love that you have that attitude. And yes, we're very blessed that we can, have an election. So were there any jobs that you guys turned down specifically because of your values or morals?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Go on, Krysta, if you don't mind.
Sometimes, well, most times I don't get to see the script, but if I always ask, and if I see it and they ask me, I very politely will say to them, I would truly appreciate it if you would go ahead and find someone else for this one. I'm not exactly comfortable with it. And I had to put that boundary on myself because, like Bill has said, and we've all said, we're actors. And it's not like I couldn't sell certain things, but my heart, there are places I don't want to go, things I don't want my voice to be associated with. And so, yeah, I have a little bit of a boundary there. Well, no, I have a very good boundary.
No, that's great to hear and hear your perspective. Yeah. Bill, same for you.
I've never turned down a political spot. There have been a few I've get a little, some, again, the mudslinging, I don't like it, but it's never been to the point where I felt that I couldn't do it. I have, as it relates to political type content. There was a book I was once hired to read. Won the audition. It seemed a little fringy, but not too off the charts. And once I started recording it, I thought, whoa, it was nasty. I mean, it was some of the most vile literature I've ever seen. And I got a few pages into it, and it didn't reflect what I saw in the audition. Mm-hmm. And I hate to do that to a client once I've started a project and accepted it, but I just said I can't, in good conscience, do this. It was just too. Yeah, it was hateful. It was nasty.
Well, hello there. I'm AJ McKay, voice actor, demo producer, and audio engineer. And you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with my good friends, love these guys to death, Kevin Kilcarney and Bobbi Mayswell. What's that? Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobbi Maxwell. Whatever.
Well, I know we're probably all on social media. Did you feel, and I'm just saying from experience here, did you feel like you had to hold back? I mean, there's so much, there's so many people just fighting on, especially Facebook right now, about the election. And I am I'll speak up. I mean, I'll respond like that usually on other topics. But I really had to hold back this election cycle because I don't want... That's there forever. I don't want that to interfere in any way with me getting jobs in the future by something that I posted on social media. Do you guys feel that way?
I don't. I'm you know me, Bobbi, I am very private.
Yeah, you are.
And so you know how I am because I'm a person of faith. And so when I post, I won't put anything based on what I'm feeling at the moment. And because I have been in the position of being bullied and just, people being nasty towards me, I promised myself many years ago that I cannot know the heart of a person. So I am not about to put anything out there as if I personally know them when I've never spent time with them. I don't think that that's fair. I don't want anybody to do that to me. And so I don't do it. And as soon as I see it, if I even start to read it because I don't like what it does to my insides, because I've seen how nasty people can be. I'm not talking about constructive criticism. I'm just talking about straight up nasty. I hide them. I don't want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hide it, and that is how they feel, but that's not how I roll.
It's not how she rolls.
I love that. I mean, that takes a level of maturity that most people, frankly, seem to not have. When I say seem, I mean, if you're on social media for any length of time. And ego is a really powerful thing, and ego wants to be right, wants to make a point.
Yep.
And it's so hard. And sometimes it needles me. And I think I've pretty much got control of myself, but then I'll read something and it just really kind of gets under my skin. And what I found that what I've done is that anybody who talks about politics, really pretty much in any way, shape, or form, in terms of endorsement, I just don't follow them. I just don't want to know. I liked people way better before I knew every thought that went through their head.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, I really did.
Yes.
It's like I don't want to know. I mean, I like you. You're my. That's why we follow each other. I don't need to know all that. I don't care. I don't want the way I feel about you to be filtered through that. So yeah, I never post anything political or religious for that. I mean, I stay away from that stuff online. It's all about how you treat people. And so yeah, I unfollowed a lot of folks this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the time we're in. Krysta, did anything surprise you about this political VO season?
I want to say yes, but my husband, who loves Bill DeWees.
I literally just about spit my coffee out when you said that.
Spit
He
take.
was like, you haven't talked to Bill? No, I haven't. So I better talk to you at some point. But he would say to me things like, buckle up, babe. It's going to be thick and heavy. And I'm looking at him like, okay. And I was like, keep your pie hole shut. It's like you did something here. And I don't mind being busy, but I love my family. So trying to find that space was difficult at times. But yes, that's the one thing that surprised me was what Bill talked about originally was I've been busy during political before, but nothing compares to what just happened this year. I mean, I called my CPA like, dude, we need to like redo some stuff. 'Cause I was like, everything just exploded.
Really?
Yeah, it was that crazy. So yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, but yeah, I can understand it. I mean, your stress level just probably skyrocketed in the past few months, for sure.
You're right.
But at what cost?
Tax
You got
write-off.
something in your bank account.
Right, tax write-offs. I was like,
Oh my gosh! And I think the thing, staying on the subject of social media, what I really disliked about this period was that you could be talking about anything. I mean, the furthest thing away from the election, and you'd have those people who would jump in there and somehow turn it into a political statement.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Yep. Obscure stuff. I remember it too, Bobbi. I'd be reading, oh, this is great. And then you got down to the bottom and someone started spewing this stuff. And I said, oh, y'all done just lost me now. That was wrong. That was so ugly. Yeah.
It almost makes you lose your faith in humanity. I mean, not to get real dark, but especially during seasons like this and what it does and the way people express themselves, you think, well, I know it was bad, but it's, how in the world can we come back from something like this? But I mean, I'm hopeful that we will, but it really is. If I wasn't in voiceover and had some of the responsibilities that I do, and social media is a part of that, I would literally close down my accounts. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Understandable.
One day, it's going to happen. Because I just get so aggravated with it too. And it's like, is this even worth it? It's like, I've got a handful of people in my life that I consider close friends. And there are those I do want to keep up with. But then sometimes dealing with the BS that we have to watch and the vitriol, that goes on between people and the anger and the rage and the nonsense. Yeah. One day, I might just disappear from social.
Right.
Even within voiceover, just to make it more controversial, even within our industry, it can get kind of crazy. Out there.
Yeah, Bill, you know a little bit about that, right?
I know nothing. I'm just literally, not a thing. I just brought it up as a
We're not
thought.
going into that. We're not going into any of that. Because
We've already covered that right there.
Yeah, and Bill's in a
That's another
safe space
podcast
right here.
for
We're
another
not.
day.
Yeah. Maybe another podcast we will have Bill on to talk about some different things. But
Oh, no.
Bill, I know you said that you were kind of you were really ecstatic about this political VO season, and you hate to see it ending.
Yeah.
Are you going to have to find ways to fill your time? I know you're super busy, but are you going to go, wow, what am I going to do now?
No. And actually,
so.
This time, I love the work. I just love doing it, political or otherwise. But really, what's the busiest, even though this was by far my busiest time politically, what this season is for me mostly is open enrollment. That's what keeps me very, very, very busy.
Bobby was talking about that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And I've got some established clients that come back to me every year. And so this is, Christmas for me, kind of like what, it is for retail and advertising during the holidays. This is when my business goes bananas.
So you're probably not taking any vacation this last quarter of the year, are you?
No, not at all. Not at all. But again, that's not a complaint. I love it. As a matter of fact, just as I was getting ready to log in here for the podcast, one of my clients sent me a really great project to work on when we're done here. And so it just keeps me going pretty much all day, every day for several months, which is awesome. I mean, I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I purposely scheduled my vacation this coming Saturday because of political. I'm leaving for Cabo, San Lucas.
Oh, nice.
Saturday morning, and my girlfriend who's going with me, she goes, well, do you want to go like September, October? And I went, nope, not going to work. But being on the beach next week sure will be taking that stress away.
Makes it all worthwhile.
In the Making Waves VO podcast, we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Amanda from Amanda Utter VO, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with my friends, Kevin and Bobbi. Thanks for listening.
Full Compass is your one-stop destination for cutting-edge audio, video, and lighting solutions. With nearly 50 years of industry expertise, we offer a vast selection of high-quality equipment, from microphones, recording interfaces, and software, to audio accessories, monitors, headphones, and other pieces to help you find your ideal sound. Our trained product experts are here to help every step of the way with unmatched customer service. You'll also get free same-day shipping, flexible financing options, and a low-price guarantee. Visit us online at fullcompass.com or call 800-356-5844 today.
And now back to Making Waves.
Well, Bobby, I'm the only one among this group that hasn't done anything political this season. I'm hoping to break down some of those barriers in a couple of years to get some of that political action. Thankfully, I'm staying busy in other areas. But Bobby, let's turn this on you really quick. I know you've done a lot of political this year. Did anything surprise you this year? Was there anything super challenging this year? Are you glad the political voiceover season is over?
There was one thing that surprised me, and it was early on. I have a consultant who mainly works in Florida. And he reached out. And he says it's not a spot, but it's kind of a series of, not even like an explainer. I don't know where it's going to run.
Propaganda videos.
Yeah. But it was issue 4, which is the abortion issue. And he's like, do you want to do it? He goes, there'll be a lot of work for you. And I said, yeah, I'm good with that. And he said he gave me the scripts, and he goes, I also want to mention that because you're going to do this, your voice is going to be statewide. And he goes, which will keep you from getting other work for candidates because they don't want to conflict. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer, because I love doing the candidate spots. But yeah, so, and it turned out I really didn't do much on issue 4, so I kind of felt like I lost out a lot of my Florida work this year. So I was kind of bummed about that, but going forward, I will keep that in mind. I don't want to be tied to something that's going to keep me from getting other work.
So, Bill, I know you're going to be working on some healthcare stuff coming up and open enrollment kind of stuff. And Krysta, what about you with political slowing down? Are you just going to keep busy with commercial work, narration, and various things?
Oh, yes. I'm actually, I've decided to try promo. So,
hey,
right?
Fantastic.
So,
That's great.
Bobbi and I are working together with Dave Walsh, and I told him I want to do promo because I really do like the fast, and I enjoy acting, but I'm not a bully, so I don't want to keep doing political for forever. I am a nice I'm a nice person. Like I'm just saying, it's very the things I have to do, and the type of acting that I have to do is like night and day of who I am. When I have to be a real person. And so I was like, I want to do something different that's kind of fun. And so I guess in some ways it's fun working with my clients, but yeah, I'm going to do that. That's my big thing that I'm working on now.
Was it hard, speaking of the acting, was it hard when your client would come back and say, no, we need this to be angrier or deeper? Was that hard for you to do?
Yes, but I did it.
Because you're an actor.
Because I'm an actress. And I, me, I just had to find somebody in my family from the ghetto and just take a hold of that and make it, bring that right into me. And that part, I just did it. It was easier for them. What was harder was when we would get to that place, but then they want me to back off. And I was like, okay, hold on a second. Because I would just have to breathe for a minute because, it makes your heart race and all that good stuff. So,
yeah. How about you, Bill?
I'm sorry, what was the original question again?
Were you finding that your clients were asking you to go angry?
Yeah. No. No, apparently, I guess I dug down deep.
You got angry
I'm not
enough.
sure. I guess,
He's an angry young man.
And Krysta, I think that what you just said is probably the best method of doing that. Find somebody from your family or that you could channel and just let loose on them without them knowing about it in that way. But apparently I was able to dig deep enough, so I guess it's in there someplace.
So Kevin has been wanting to get into political, and he had a political demo done. Can you give him advice for, the next cycle on either connections or acting or, anything like that? Rates, whatever you want to throw out there for Kevin and other listeners who might want to get into the genre.
Go ahead, Krysta.
Okay. I have found as far as rates that it varies. And I keep like a roster, so I'm happy to share that. But because my clients were very kind to me, they take care of me. If I did something on a Saturday, they said, you charge them this. So
nice.
Okay. And you will find that sometimes it's more because it's a type of inconvenience to your schedule. Production houses, man, I think that's really a lot of the places that I've seen that do it. If you kind of Google that kind of stuff, there's tons of it. And so, but again, I got plenty to share. There is plenty of this work. It's not going anywhere.
Love it. What about you, Bill? What would you recommend for those that want to tap into the political genre and voiceover, making those connections one-on-one? Or what's your thoughts?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I never really marketed specifically for it. Like for instance, Bobbi, I think what you're doing is great. You've got some consultants that you work with, and I've never actually done anything like that before. But what I have done, and this might be an easier way to get into it for those who have any kind of established client list, and this is what I did. It was once I actually got a real political demo together a couple of years ago. And I started doing political stuff. I remember doing the Mitt Romney campaign during the Republican primaries back in 2008.
Wow.
And that was just I don't even have any clue how I got that one. And I would do some occasional things after that, but I never really marketed myself. But what I did a couple of years ago was got the demo. And then what I did is I went back to the current client list that I have. And then and a lot of them are like, they're content producers, video producers, who do all kinds of stuff, including political, but a lot of them don't do just political. They'll do educational and documentary and corporate, all kinds of things. And so that's how I got a lot of my work this year, was by introducing my demo to people who already knew me, who already liked me, who already used me, which then opened up the door. They hadn't thought of me before as a political voice until they heard the demo. And then it was like, oh, okay, he can do that too. Great.
Yeah, as far as reaching back out to those people, so in 2 years or before the cycle begins, I'm keeping a list of all these connections, and it works. I mean, I can tell you back in August, I was sending emails out, and half of them would say, oh, yeah, we remember working with you in 2020 or 2022, and we would love to work together again. So that whole marketing thing works. It just works. I know it's tough for some people to do it, but it works.
And consistency is the key.
Yeah.
If like you just said, Bobbi, you got in front of them, they remembered you. But can you imagine if you stayed in front of them once every couple of months during that 2 to 3 year period for just the smallest little thing, just a reason for your name to pop up? And who knows what else that might lead to.
Mm-hmm. I've done that too.
That.
I'm trying to give you more stuff to do. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Because I had that sense that you were looking for something before you went to Cabo.
Exactly.
She doesn't have to look. She's going out of town. It's about to come.
That's how it always goes.
Hi, everyone. This is voice actor Karin Gilfrey, and you're listening to my awesome friends Kevin and Bobbi on the amazing Making Waves VO podcast.
Bill, we do a regular feature here on the podcast. One is called Nightmare Sessions. I'm not going to get you to do a cold read challenge. That's I would
okay.
I would
think
have
I see where
prepared
this
you
is
for
going.
that.
Okay.
But the Nightmare Sessions, and you don't have to share a story if you don't have one, but do you by chance have any stories of a political session that maybe could not have gone more wrong, either directed live or just self-directed, or any kind of thing that was a nightmare?
Does it have to be political?
It doesn't have to be. Let's
because I
dig
can't
deep.
think of anything that went wrong on the political. That was pretty smooth. But I've got a recent nightmare session story.
Yeah, let's do
you're
it.
Interested in that? Okay.
Nightmare Sessions.
So a couple of months ago, a client reached out to me who said, I have a client, it was Ethan Allen Furniture, said they have chosen you and another voice to do this next big national campaign they have coming up. I said, oh, great. And they said, well, they want to do audition over Source Connect with both of you to actually record the spot. And so I said, great. This is recently after I just gotten a new computer, set up Source Connect, everything seemed to be working fine. And so we had the session, the session seemed to go smoothly on my end, and client seemed to be pleased. So we finished up the session. I get a call from the engineer a couple hours later and said, the client just said your audio is not good. And I said, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, long story short, I went in and realized that Source Connect, the way it had been set up with my new computer and the new download, I just downloaded it and moved my license, the whole 9 yards. The audio input had not been set up properly. What had happened was my voice had been recorded through the microphone on my computer.
Oh, no.
Can you believe? I mean,
Oh my gosh.
I was number one. I was so embarrassed. I was mortified. Well, needless, I didn't get the job. And I was that was a punch in the gut. That was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done.
Because it's such a simple thing for us. Like, one effing thing I got to click, you know?
Who doesn't know to have their audio come from their microphone? Me. I'm the guy.
It happens,
and
man.
So,
it happens.
Yeah, well, so that's my nightmare story.
How about you, Krysta? You did a lot of directed sessions. Anything?
I don't even like to relive this. I feel like I have PTSD. So this was during a political season, and it wasn't this year. Thank you, Lord. But there was this guy who is no longer with this particular company. No one there cared for him. He had me so worked up. Now, mind you, I was born in New York. I was born there. But he kept going back. I didn't have a production person. I was like, okay, I am not going to call a name, but I think this man needs to have some type of, I think there's an issue here. But he would not stop just tearing me down about how I was saying words. And luckily, in the session was someone else that I had worked with in the past. They loved me. I've been doing this for a long time. But I was so locked up, and he was so nitpicky that by the time I was done, and I mean, like, even the way his tone with me was just very unprofessional and curt. And it was all of the strength in me to not say, I'm done with this. I don't really care about this job. I will not work with you again. But I did it. I got through it. But I had to talk to many people that day just to like come down. It just stressed me out so bad. And he was so disrespectful. And so after that, the person that was also there, he was very quiet. I could tell he was very irritated with him. He said, I just want you to know he's gone at the end of the year. I said, do not call me if he's going to be on that session. I will not work with him ever again. It was that bad.
Wow, way to stand up for yourself.
It was, well, I couldn't have said it to him. I didn't want to I cared about the company, and so I ate it. But I let them know, don't call on me if he's going to be there, because they know. No one wanted to work with him. I was like, I won't do that again. I was like, that was awful. Yeah.
Oh, well, this has been a lot of fun, you two. Krysta, if anybody wanted to reach out to you for booking opportunities or any other questions, how can they reach you?
Oh, they can reach me at KrystaWallrauch.com.
And go ahead and spell your name if you don't mind.
KrystaWallrauch.
Love it. Bill, the same for you.
Bill at BillDeWees.com.
And that's DEWEES.com, right?
Yes, you got it. Thanks.
All right, very good. Bobbi, anything else?
No, we've covered a lot.
This was fun.
You guys, you want to all take a little sigh of relief together?
Yeah. Ooh. That felt good.
Right?
Thank you both so much for being on the podcast with us today. This has been a fun, informative episode, and might have to do it again in a couple of years.
Come on.
Please make it easier. Come on. Please let people be nicer.
It was a joy. It was great to hear your voice, Bill. I'll tell my husband.
You too, Krysta. Yeah, we got to get together and hang out sometime.
Come on, let's do that.
That'd be awesome. I'd love that.
I'm surprised Todd's not in the booth with you right
Girl,
now.
He's in Ohio.
Okay.
I promise you he would be.
Thanks, guys. It was a treat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, Bobbi, was that what you expected from this episode of the Making Waves video podcast?
Some surprises. It's good to hear from other political talent. Yeah. And it was that kind of cycle. So you sure you want to do this, Kevin?
I do, because I want to tap into the mean Kevin. I want to tap into the acting and trashing people Kevin. But, you know,
I have never heard a mean Kevin as long as I've known you.
I know. And that may be why it's hard for me to get into political VO, because it's hard to just trash people. But it was kind of eye-opening hearing that perspective of voicing for both sides, and just kind of Bill talking about facilitating the process and just being a fan of the process. And that's how he was able to justify in his mind reading for both sides.
It's our businesses, you know. Do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, should we do it again next week, Bobbi?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'll pencil you in. No, I'm on vacation.
Well, maybe we need to pre-record something.
Just kidding.
Oh, yeah. We'll be here. We'll be here whether Bobby's pre-recorded or not. We'll be here. The Making Waves VO podcast is presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Bye, Bobby.
Bye.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.